Hey everybody, it's about 4:45. I'm still at work, but I'm going to take a little break. I want to talk to y'all about something that I've learned about very recently. I watched a TED Talk, and I'll put a link to it below. I can't remember who it was or what the name of it was off the top of my head, but I'll be sure to include that link below because it's about 20 minutes, but it's well worth your time to watch. But something that this man talks about is called a golden circle, and the concept is it's really interesting, and I want to share it with you real quickly. I may write a post about this at some point, but I want to just go ahead and throw it out, make a short video, and just kind of share what I've learned, because I think this, while they talk about organizations such as businesses and things, it's directly applicable to what we do at the lodges, both at the lodge level and at the Grand Lodge level. So let me write this down real quick. So this is the golden circle, and the idea is that most organizations work from the outside going in, and they never quite penetrate this area right here. And this is actually the most important area to penetrate. What they'll do, for example, is they say what they do and they say how they do it, but they don't actually explain why they're doing it. And in the video, they'll give examples of different companies that have failed because they have a what and they have a how, but they don't ever talk about their why. And apparently, biologically, we are designed to work from the inside out as far as this concept goes. The way our brains are laid out, the way we function mentally. This outside in is the way most organizations work. But apparently the most successful people and most successful organizations will actually work from the inside out, because they have a why that drives them. And this is what inspires people to use their product or their services. So let's look at it from like a perspective. And what I would invite you to do at this point is kind of look at your lodge. How does your lodge operate? Is it operating from the outside in, or do you have a why? And has your lodge got together and said, this is why we do things? Is it a well-known why? It's not just a kind of understood why or some kind of a vague why. Does your lodge have a legitimate why that they share, that is common terminology at your lodge that causes you to work from the inside out? Let's just look. So most lodges, what do most lodges do? Well, the purpose of a lodge, most people will say a lodge does, is they take good men and make them better. Well, how do we do that? Well, we put degrees on them. And they usually stop there. They say, and that's as far as it goes. And you'll hear people say all the time, well, what does your lodge do? What do you do? And you'll say, well, we take good men and make them better, or something along those lines. You know, every lodge is different. And I don't really care for catchphrases, but as far as we're generally speaking, I mean, that's the basic idea. We take a good man. We don't rehabilitate an okay guy. We take a good man and we make him better. And someone may say, well, how do you do that? And you could say, well, we put degrees on them that teach them certain lessons that, when applied, if they apply them, then it should make them better. Another kind of explanation that I like a little bit better is how we introduce them to a system of morality veiled in allegory and illustrated by symbols. But, you know, few people ever think to ask why. Well, why do you do this? And you know, but we usually stop there. So we say what we're doing and how we do it, but we don't say really why we're doing it. Most lodges, you can see how successful that's been for them. I know most lodges are struggling, and this isn't about getting membership at all. Membership is probably a nice benefit of having a strong why, but this isn't really about membership. This is about lodges just struggling, and if you don't know why you're doing anything, you're going to struggle to do anything. If you don't have a reason for doing something, nothing really sounds that good to do. But let's say we have a lodge. We'll just create a lodge, for example. We'll call it Texas Lodge Number 1, and we're going to use that as our example for this situation. So for years, Texas Lodge has said what we're doing and how we do it, but there's not been a why. So, all the brothers, they got together, they heard about the Golden Circle. And so they meet up and, they have a called meeting and they say, this is a really good idea. Let's talk about let's define really why we're here. And technically this is kind of your mission statement or your goals, or they should at least tie closely together. If you don't know anything about doing a mission statement for your lodge, I'll put a link down there to my blog. I wrote a post about that also. Really worth your time to check out. So let's define our why for this lodge. Why do we do what we do? We know what and how, but really, why are we doing it? And and every lodge is different. Every lodge has its own unique culture. It has its own unique membership, its own history. So, no two lodges are the same. But, for this lodge, for Texas Lodge number 1, we'll just say why we do what we do is because we believe the world is a better place when we take good men and empower them to improve themselves. All of a sudden, you know why you're doing everything. We believe by improving good men, we are making the world a better place. Well, how are you doing that? Well, we're introducing them to I always get it tongue-tied. We introduce them to a system of morality veiled in allegory and illustrated by symbols. Well, what does that do? It takes good men and makes them better. What we're doing is a result of why we're doing it. We believe that if you take the best men in a community and improve them, the community benefits as a whole. The country benefits as a whole. The state benefits as a whole. Well, how do we do this? Well, we introduce them to the system. We put them through a system of degrees, a series of degrees that introduces them to that. And what does that do? Well, we're taking good men and we're making them better. So all of a sudden, you have your why. And that why is really kind of what drives everything. It's just watch the video, watch the TED Talk that I'm going to link down below. He explains it a little bit better, but I'm just taking what he's explained and I'm applying this to the lodge level. But the thing is, this doesn't just have to apply to lodge level. And really, this is something the Grand Lodges should be doing also. We'll say, what does Grand Lodge do? Well, it regulates all the lodges in its jurisdiction. Well, how does it do it? Well, it creates it creates and passes and enforces laws and regulations that dictate how lodges should behave. But why does it do that? I don't know. And I'm not knocking my particular Grand Lodge. They may have all these things, but it's not common knowledge if they do. But I'm going to suggest. So let's say I was put in a position where all of a sudden, someone says, "Okay, Lone Star, you know so much about this Golden Circle. All of a sudden, why don't you create a Golden Circle for the Grand Lodge?" So, and I'm not saying my specific Grand Lodge. Let's back up. Why don't you create a Golden Circle for a Grand Lodge and tell me ideally what you think they should do? So I'll just do that. Well, I will walk through that. And this is just another example. I'm not telling anybody how their Grand Lodge should behave. I'm just saying, ideally for me. So we believe that by empowering lodges and providing them with resources, they will be better suited to take good men and make them better. How? By providing workshops, retreats, and other resources. And what happens? Lodges find themselves supported and have more capability of taking good men and make them better. And so something like that, I think would be, just in my mind, ideal. But every Grand Lodge is like every lodge in that it has its own unique culture, its own unique history and background. So it's all relatively speaking. So that's just me, just blabbing. But definitely an interesting concept. Watch the video, the TED Talk below. Check out the blog post I made, and really think about, can this apply to my lodge? The thing is, if something will apply to an organization, our lodges are organizations, our Grand Lodges are organizations. And so if this is something that really separates your successful organizations from your failing or mediocre organizations, then you really, all organizations are, just because they're old doesn't mean they're exempt from anything. If we want to implement the best practice for our organizations, then this is something we need to be doing. And I know I'm plugging my stuff a lot, but I wrote a post about best practice also. So I'll also include that. All these things will be down below. But if this is the best practice for most organizations, then it's something we need to do. And sitting around and waiting for someone to do it for us it hasn't worked for the last several decades, because that's what it seems like most lodges are doing. They're sitting around waiting for someone to handle this template. And as far as we know, this is the best practice. This is your template. You need to do something like this at your lodge. So, but even when they're handed the template, they're still waiting on someone else to do it for them. And at some point, you have to take ownership of the future and health of your lodge. So here's a template. There's going to be more templates posted below. Here's ideas. See what works for your lodge. Practice them. And don't. So many lodges are merging and closing because everybody keeps waiting for someone else to do something. And then before you know it, the only option is to really close your lodge. And you could argue that, maybe it is better that there aren't as many lodges. And I don't know if that's true or not, truth be told. I think more lodges are the answer, more smaller lodges. But that's another talk for another day. So check these things out. Check out these links. Let me know what you think. I've probably taken up enough of your time if you're still watching this. Thanks for watching, and look forward to seeing you on my next video. Thank you.